So let's start here. Act 1, Yahweh says to Adam, "You are free to eat from any tree in the garden, but you must never eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, because when you eat from it, you will certainly die." Okay, so there's a question here. Why does Yahweh not want Adam and Eve to have self-awareness, the ability to see and recognize good and evil? So that's Act 1. And then along comes the snake. And the snake says to the woman, "Did Yahweh really say you must never eat the fruit of any tree in the garden?" And so Eve answers the snake and says, "We're allowed to eat the fruit from any tree in the garden except the tree in the middle of the garden. Yahweh said, you must never eat it or touch it. If you do, you will die." Huh. And so the snake responds to the woman saying, "You certainly won't die," the snake told the woman. "Yahweh knows that when you eat it, your eyes will be opened. You'll be like Yahweh, knowing good and evil." So this is the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Before they ate the fruit, Adam and Eve were able to participate in conversations, obviously, but didn't have even the self-awareness to notice they were naked. So Eve responds this way. She does this. "The woman saw that the tree had fruit that was good to eat, nice to look at, and desirable for making someone wise. So she took some of the fruit and ate it. She also gave some to her husband who was with her, and he ate it." Very good. So now Adam and Eve, then their eyes were opened, and they both realized that they were naked. They sewed fig leaves together and made clothes for themselves. Other words we use for this type of experience. They became self-aware, conscious, awake, or enlightened. I know some Christians don't like that last one, enlightened, but that is what it is, a synonym. All right, so let's move on now. That's all happened. And so now we have this interaction with Adam and Eve and Yahweh. Adam and Eve, in the cool of the evening, the man and his wife heard Yahweh walking around in the garden, so they hid from Yahweh among the trees in the garden. Well, wait, how can you hide from a non-physical God? And so here you can see my study called Yahweh, the physical God. All right? Yahweh responds. Yahweh called to the man and asked him, "Where are you?" Because they're hiding, right? So was Yahweh not all-knowing? How did he not know where they were if he is God? Now, I know, I've been a Christian all my life, so I understand what's going through the Christian's mind. It's like, no, Israel, you stupid person. Don't you understand that, God is just saying this to kind of draw them out and get them to talk? The text doesn't say that. So be careful with those metaphors that you're layering over the text to understand it because of the way you've been taught this story. Resist the metaphor. Peel the metaphors away and just let the text speak for itself. Really, really important. Okay? So Adam answered, "I heard you in the garden. I was afraid because I was naked, so I hid." So Yahweh was making sound walking around. Yahweh is a physical being. And you really need to look at my study on that. It's really cool. Yahweh then asked two questions. Now, when you hear a sermon on the Garden of Eden, they always skip straight to the second question and completely omit the first question. But the first question is always the most important question. So the first question was, who told you that you were naked? Who told you? Who told you you were naked? What? Wait, hang on a second. Who told you you were naked? We could spend a ton of time on these two questions alone, but the implications of the first question, usually omitted or skipped over in any Bible study, cannot be ignored. And here's why. It means self-awareness can come from being told things, right? Hopefully, that's happening right now. Hopefully, this study is opening your eyes. Who could have told them they were naked, right? Who else was there to have been able to tell them? If the snake was the only other being there, the question would be moot. But you don't have to ask if the snake's the only one there. So according to Christianity, right, there's only 5 people that exist right now. The Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, and Adam and Eve. Did Yahweh think Yeshua or the Holy Spirit, the other members of the Christian Trinity, may have told Adam and Eve they were naked? Who else could have told them? Why was Yahweh's first assumption that someone had told them rather than they had eaten the fruit, right? So his first assumption wasn't, oh my God, you ate the fruit. No, it was like, who told you you were naked? Well, that's interesting, you see. And see, I look at the text the way I read it and I just go like, well, wait a minute, there's something going on here. Why is no one talking about this? It seems that there were several individuals he suspected may have told them. Did Yahweh have many enemies? Not just the snake? Who could have interacted here, right? So we go back here to the second question, which was, did you eat fruit from the tree I commanded you not to eat from? And then we get the response of Adam. And the man answered, the woman, the one you gave me, gave me some fruit from the tree and I ate it. So Adam passes the buck to Eve. Yahweh then responds. Then Yahweh asked the woman, what have you done? Yahweh is genuinely shocked. Not the response we'd expect from an all-knowing God. Eve responds, the snake deceived me and I ate, the woman answered, passing the buck to the snake. All right, so now Yahweh begins to curse all 3 of them, right? He curses the snake. So Yahweh said to the snake, because you have done this, you are cursed. I will make you and the woman hostile toward each other. I will make your descendants and her descendants hostile toward each other. Now, there's something very interesting here. I love who are the snake's descendants, right? I will make you and the woman hostile toward each other. I will make your, talking to the snake here, I will make your descendants, the snake's descendants? The snake's descendants? Well, what are you talking about? Isn't he a fallen angel? Angels can't reproduce. Like, what is this? Apparently they can, because here is Yahweh cursing the snake's descendants. Who are the snake's descendants? Does Satan have descendants? Not according to Roman Universalism or Christianity, he doesn't. So how does that make any sense? Then Yahweh curses Eve. He said to the woman, I will increase your pain and your labor when you give birth to children. You will long for your husband, and he will rule you. Then he curses Adam. Then he said to the man, you listened to your wife and ate fruit from the tree, although I commanded you, you must never eat its fruit. The ground is cursed because of you. Through hard work you will eat food that comes from it every day of your life. The ground will grow thorns and thistles for you, and you will eat wild plants. By the sweat of your brow, you will produce food to eat until you return to the ground, because you are taken from it. You are dust, and you will return to dust. Right? So Adam can no longer eat from the fruit in the garden. Instead, he has to eat from wild plants outside the garden. Now, that's all very, very interesting. But let's take a look at this. This is what happens next. Yahweh says to some others that Roman Universalists speculate is the Trinity, but it doesn't say that. All right? Again, be careful of applying metaphor. Oh, but Israel, you're so silly. You don't know that it's talking about the Trinity. No, I know the arguments inside and out, but it doesn't say that. All right. So tradition might tell you that, but the text does not. And I love the text. I just want to know what the text says. And it's not that we can't go beyond the text, but it does mean that we try to read the text faithfully and not add in our own interpretations and metaphors to try to make sense of something. All right? So Yahweh says this: the man has become like one of us, since he knows good and evil. He must not reach out and take from the fruit of the tree of life and eat. Then he would live forever. So it's crucial to realize something here. The snake didn't lie to Eve. Now, Eve said, well, the snake deceived me. The snake said they would become like Yahweh, and Yahweh then admits that very thing has occurred. So, if the snake lied, then Yahweh's lying here. Well, Yahweh's not lying here. He's just recounting what happened, the same as we just read in the story. Right? So then Yahweh removes Adam and Eve from the garden. So Yahweh sent the man out of the Garden of Eden to farm the ground from which the man had been formed. And he sent the man out, or after he sent the man out, Yahweh placed angels and a flaming sword that turned in all directions east of the Garden of Eden. He placed them there to guard the way to the tree of life. The only reason Adam and Eve died was because Yahweh deprived them of the fruit of the tree of life, which they previously had access to. And that is explicit in the text. Eating the fruit did not kill them, as Yahweh told them it would. Rather, he killed them through his actions. Now, remember I said there's going to be some parts where you're like, wait a minute. This is what the text says. All right? So just hold on. Things will make a lot more sense as things start to click together. Right? That's what happened in the Garden of Eden story, but the story doesn't end there. The story starts in the beginning of Genesis, the very first book in the Bible, but it ends in another garden within a city at the end of the last book of the Bible, Revelation. So we are living between the gardens, between the trees. What happens next? Act 5. Yeshua comes into the picture. We read this before. Then the angel showed me the river of the water of life, as clear as crystal, flowing from the throne of God and of the Lamb down the middle of the great street of the city. And on each side of the river stood the tree of life, bearing 12 crops of fruit, yielding its fruit every month. And the leaves of the tree are for the healing of the nations. No longer will there be any curse. The throne of God and of the Lamb will be in the city, and his servants will serve him. They will see his face, and his name will be on their foreheads. This is Revelation 22.